Hello. Woohoo!
Live and direct. So everybody who's watching, thank you for joining us. This is the Hiring Lens. We do this every single final Friday of the month. So that's where we are right now. Hey, we're just going to hash out some current trends in the market, talk about, recruiting, onboarding, training, pretty much whatever comes to the conversation will be, fluid and just on the spot. So from there, I'm going to introduce myself, and then we're going to work our way around. I don't know which way you guys are sitting in my camera, but I'm Jeremy Nichols. I'm with Gecko Hospitality. I'm a recruiter for the hospitality industry for restaurants, resorts, clubs. I'm in the state of Florida. The market is crazy. You all know that. And thank you for joining us. And I'm going to pass it to Aidan.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us again. Obviously, normally we have people saying hello in the comments and where they're from. So please feel free to jump in there and say hi to us. We love chatting away to everyone throughout the show. My name is Aidan Murray. I'm the Managing Director of Aidan Recruitment. I have my own specialist finance recruitment company here in the UK. Normally, I'm joined by Tom, who's my UK buddy, but I'm outnumbered by 3 Americans. Are we all from America? I don't have any Canadians. Duarte, you're America, right?
From America, yes, sir.
Awesome, cool.
It's not 50-50 this week. Sorry, you're outnumbered, man. But you do have a soccer. You do have a soccer, or should I say, football fan with Duarte.
100%.
And again, we only had a 10-second chat about it at the beginning, so I'm hoping to catch up with him after. But look, on that note, Duarte, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep, Duarte Mendonca. I've been in talent acquisition over 15 years, been director of TA at Blue Green Vacations, FTD companies, and Midland Health. So I've traversed a couple different industries and excited to join everyone here today.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us. And you were with us, was it like 5 months ago? We were doing our clubhouse sessions, Duarte?
Yes, that's correct.
Feels like forever ago.
Knee deep in the middle of all the transition, that's for certain.
Which is kind of a result on why we're live. So when we spoke, the industry was atrocious and there was like no hiring needs. So we were on Clubhouse and we were doing the same show and we were packed. We had people in the room. We had like 40, 50 people showing in. Then when we kind of stopped 3 months ago, Aidan, nobody is in Clubhouse anymore because people are working.
Yes.
or our Clubhouse conversations.
Yeah, or they're like, I don't want to hear about recruiting anymore. I don't need it.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. That said, hey, Aidan brought up a good point. If you're watching us right now, tell us where you're from. We'll pop it up on screen. If you have any questions, you want us to touch up on anything, we will address it. We promise. So that said, hey, Natalie from Florida. Hope the weather is wonderful. It's not here. So our first topic we want to bring up is something.
Jeremy, don't forget Christine.
I forgot her again. This is like no. You know what? I am making for last time where I said introduce yourself, Christine, and she already did.
Yeah, last time you thought you forgot.
I thought I did. Yeah.
Well, I'm Christine Trippi. I am the author of Yes is the Answer, and I am the Chief Fun Officer at the Wise Pineapple. I am in my Pineapple Glory today, and I am in sunny Palm Springs. I've been here all week training and doing workshops for Yes is the Answer, and today is travel day, so it's braids today.
Nice.
So
Why the braids? Why the braids?
Because I cannot stand blow drying my hair, and since it's travel day, it's braids today.
And the humidity might make it all frizzy.
But yeah, I delayed my flight just so I can be here with all of you, and I'm so excited. I'm seeing Robert, Josh, Natalie. Thanks for joining us. We love having you here. Please put in the chat where you're calling from or where you're joining from, and also if you have something on your mind. What's going on with your hiring culture, training? What do you want to talk about? So we'll keep the conversation fluid with all of us. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you. I'm glad that you were able to introduce yourself. I don't think you really need an introduction, but it's wonderful to hear. And thank you for joining us and taking the time. I need it. I really needed it. So I'm going to bring up the first topic, and it is right here. What really motivates people to stay with the company? Anybody want to jump in?
Well, I would love for go back. We were pre-talking before before we went live. What was it you were saying, Duarte, about Jeremy or Duarte, about how we often think our skills are transferable to other industries, but we rarely think about other people coming into our industries? What was it you guys had teed that up?
Yeah, I think there's just a general struggle when we talk about the hospitality industry, how transferable those skill sets are to other industries. But when we're looking to hire and bring new talent into an organization, we far too often to create this small funnel of looking only for people within the industry of hospitality and not taking a look at other verticals and where their skills are transferable to the industry. And I think sometimes that comes down to just our preconceived connotations of someone being able to transition into this industry because of the demands and rigor of ours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was my point. And I'd love to know what all of you thinking that are tuning in with us is. I believe that we haven't thought in the past about other people joining us because other industries have a reasonable work-life balance. And we're looking for people who know you've got to do your time. We don't need to be in jail to get to a level where we finally have a quality of life. I know we can do hospitality better. And I'd love to hear what others think about that.
And it goes into play with like anybody who's in hospitality who grew up in it, like myself and you, Christine. Like when you say work, you know, how many hours a week, it's like the number 55 is like the basic number that I hear all the time. 55, bare minimum, right? They'll normally say that's bare minimum. So like normally it's like 55 to 65, sometimes 70. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean 55 is a vacation.
What's finance, Aidan? What's finance? What's the regular salaried work week in your industry?
Yeah, let's hear it from listeners too. But type in
yes, everybody, please tell us your normal average work week.
And how many times have we said that phrase? You've got to do your time. Why do you have to be in jail until you can get to a level in the industry where you can live a quality of life? I know we can do this better. I know we can do it better.
Yeah. Finance is unique, right? Because you have your month end once a month, you have your year end where it's just manic and crazy busy. So a lot of the time you'll work in finance and you'll have 3 weeks of the month or maybe 2 weeks of the month where actually it's okay. It's a 35 to 40 hour working week. And then you've got 1 week when you're in month end week where it's 50, 60 hours. And then you've got the week after that, after month end is closed, where you're going, right, everything's closed now. Now let's try and think about adding value and analysis and hitting our targets and trying to push the business on. So you then end up being in strategy meetings for another 50, 60 hour working week. So it's quite unique in finance in that you kind of have your 2 week breaks and then your 2 week full on. The interesting thing is that most companies won't want you taking annual leave when you're in like a really busy month end week. So it's an expectation, but actually probably only 50% of their time is working the same amount as hospitality people do. So probably a little bit better in finance, to be honest.
And I remember growing up in hospitality and everybody saying, oh my God, you got to get in sales because that's the only place you can have a quality of life. But, you know, we're operators. We just want to be in the hub of everything. And you know what, even throughout my career, you know, because I was brainwashed that this is how it is, I loved every minute of it. I really did. But I know that we can do it better. And we see the mass exit from our industry. How do we change what we're doing? I've got ideas and I'd love to thank you.
Yes, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear Duarte and you, Christine, because we're talking about hospitality. What are some ways to change it?
Yeah, I think one area we were talking about as well is trust, but I think it's setting up your managers and your people leaders to have the resources to be able to manage other people. I think far too often there's people that are elevated into those management positions that don't have the training. They might be excellent at their job doesn't mean that they're actually excellent at leading other individuals. So I think there should be a greater focus on people management skills, because, as the old adage say, people don't quit their job, they quit their boss. I think that's so true at the end of the day. To have the opportunity to build that trust, that transparency, where there's a relationship. This is the hospitality industry. We're talking about relationships with our guests, but sometimes I think we forget about that relationship with our peers.
Duarte, what do you say though to, let's pretend we're in the director meeting, because we've all been in those, and the operations team says to you, okay, TA, okay, HR, that sounds great, fluffy, but how do we afford it? We don't have people. We have the hours of operation. We can't afford to take their hours back. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, that's a difficult one. Some of these margins are razor thin, and I think you look at it with what Omni's been trying to do is incentivize different behaviors from your guests to be able to better manage that. Whether that's like, okay, we're going to give you 2 meal tickets so you don't clean your room on a daily basis and have those daily cleans, or focus on that omni-channel approach with other businesses and get that cross collaboration from a marketing perspective, and there could be revenue generation from there. So they have to think about different ways to be able to generate revenue and to satisfy their guests simultaneously. So this way they have a better work-life balance with their associates. So I think it's reframing the industry as a whole and how we're approaching and taking a look at the guest. If you look at a younger generation to begin with, they do look at their hotelier experience different than an older generation. So again, it's having that a la carte approach and figuring out what your guest truly needs and be able to provide that service to them. So I think we need to go back to data. I think there's a tremendous amount of data, and a lot of companies don't leverage that technology. I think that's another pain point in certain industries or certain hotels or businesses, that they don't have the appropriate technology to support what they need to do. And that creates other additional pain points to be able to better serve their guests and better serve their employees, right? Because the more data that you have, information, you can allocate resources more appropriately. We've seen it where we go to a hotel and you have the check-ins and there's 2 people behind the desk and you're 12 deep. And other times there's 8 people up there and there's 1 person deep. We need to get a better, more reality of how we're managing our people, and as well as what we need for our guest check-in.
What a season pro, Duarte. I threw you a curveball question, and look at that.
And that was awesome.
Perfect.
I want to take it in a different direction. Kyle, hello, Kyle from Virginia. You were talking about how 50 hours now, but before it was 60 to 70. That's because too much small tasks during the day, waiting until the end of the shift to get that done. One of the things I see holding our leaders back and working all those extra hours, because there's so much you have to do, is our lack of delegating. And this has been a struggle of mine my entire career, and there hasn't been a leader I've met that doesn't struggle with delegating. Yeah. One of the things that I would recommend is the Eisenhower method, which is a great way to map out and to delegate. I have a resource. I can maybe work on that too. I've got a couple resources for you today. But what I want to say to you is I've been working with a lot of teams lately with exactly this problem or this skill set. And the reason why we feel like we can't delegate, what I'll do is I'll ask them to put a list of what's your to-do list tomorrow. And I'm going to give you one example. Let's just say I've got an AGM that's put the schedule out. All right. And I say, okay, is it urgent that you do the schedule? Can we delegate that? It's urgent that it gets done, but is it urgent that you do it? And they're just like, well, yes, because I know this and I know that, and I understand what everyone's schedule is. The reason why we feel like we can't delegate is because we're not prepared with a process to delegate it. So when you write down your to-do list, I want you to ask yourself honestly, is it urgent that I do it, or can I delegate it? And if I can't delegate it, why? So then I want you to time to write the SOP or the process so that you can delegate that. I love
how many times I don't have my air horn today too. Sorry. No. Yeah. I don't have it. But how many times, like I know earlier in my career when I started doing management, it was like, well, I could do it better. That's like what every manager thinks. I could do it better. I can do it faster. It's like,
Yes.
well, in the long run, you're just hurting the business because you're like taking
Right.
on too much. So,
Right.
And that goes at that developmental skills, right? That goes back again to developing those managers and giving them the resources to be able to be most efficient and building future leaders, right? If those people aren't being trusted, they could see that, right? Like, why is that manager, I know he's making X, Y, Z, doing that I can do that, and he won't relinquish that to me. That comes down to, again, trust, not being able to delegate, not having that SOP. You're not building future leaders and then trusting them to be able to do that. It's all cyclical.
Exactly. I have to make another point. So you might be thinking, I don't have time to train somebody to do it. But here's the thing. You're spending about 52 hours a year on your scheduling. If you can just take 2 hours and train somebody. And now how many of you out there remember when you were a front desk agent and your manager says, hey, we'd like to invest in you. Would you like to try to do the schedule and start doing some of the things? And you're like, oh.
I actually have a picture of you as a front desk agent, Christine. I could throw that picture up right now. Here we go. Boom. There you go. There's Christine, front desk agent.
At the Hampton Inn.
Look at that phone.
What's that called?
1987, baby.
I can tell by the hair. Where is that again? Let me look at those bangs. There we go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I had just cut my hair short. I hated it.
I think in 1987 I had a rat tail, so I have no room. I have no room to to laugh at your hair.
I want to get involved in this one.
I want to.
Joshua says yes. It takes time to train up front, but once someone else knows how to do the task for your job, it makes your life so much easier. And you are developing and building leaders. And as a leader, our number one job is to build future leaders. So that's what you're going to be doing so much in one aspect and saving your time.
And you have a fan of your hairdo. Natalie says she loves it.
Natalie, whoop whoop.
So I know we kind of been talking about this subject, but I want to move to something that I actually, Aidan, you brought it up, and I didn't tell you this, but I don't really have too much of an answer for this. So I'm hoping you can kind of elaborate on this. Right.
Depends what you're about to bring up.
Yeah. I want to bring a picture of you in 1993. No.
Next week, I want all your pictures.
Okay.
I'll find the rat tail one.
Okay.
This one. Aidan.
Yeah, it's a huge problem, right, for every industry right now. So I thought we'd spoken about hiring and how to attract talent, how to retain talent, but actually there's a big problem in, I guess, both the UK and the US at the moment in terms of the skills shortage. So I've got a photo that obviously will show up later, right? I think I sent you.
Want me to show you now? I have
it. Yeah, sure. I think it will make sense actually. It'll kind of play quite nicely to this. Yeah. So this is basically a month-on-month or week-by-week tracker of new job postings here in the UK. So the beginning of the scale is basically right before the pandemic, so March 2020. And then obviously it's had a big dip at Christmas. And then ever since then, it's really gradually just scaled up and up and up.
I had the US as well.
Okay, cool. So similar trend. Awesome, right? So we're both experiencing the exact same thing where we've got so many more employers looking for staff and there's this hiring confidence, but actually less people looking for work right now. And I think there's a number of reasons why people aren't necessarily looking for work. One of them, I guess, for the hospitality industry, you've all touched on it. There's this why, right? Why do I want to go and work in the hospitality industry now? And hopefully we address this each week. But in other industries, and certainly mine, I think because there's this newfound flexibility around working from home and remote working benefits, there are, one, less people as aggravated in their jobs as they were before. So previously, they would really want a new role, feel that they're ready to move on and want to progress, and they're stagnating, so they would move. But actually now it's become a little bit easier because there's less stress because they're at home half the week and they've realized that there's this nice work-life balance to be had. And then the second part of that is ultimately employers still recruiting with a mindset of 2019 where they think that actually they can hold out and get the best of the best in the market when actually they're not there anymore. And we need to flex on what our expectations are.
Aidan, let me tell you something funny. I want to jump in on that. about the employers taking their time.
Yeah.
I had a job offer. I told Chris, you guys weren't on the call. I had a job offer that this week went out. I think it was like 8 days from first interview to job offer. The candidate declined the offer because they weren't aggressive enough. They weren't fast enough. I said in hospitality, this is not right or wrong, but it typically takes 2 months, like maybe a month, but up to 2 months. Duarte, you're the director of TA in corporate. Am I right? How many layers there are? This was 8 days. And that's how fast people are going after talent.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And it wasn't fast enough for this candidate.
No. And I can't get mad at that. I mean, I have to respect the fact that you stood your ground and that's how you felt. And I'm not going to try to sell you on anything. But
I mean, it's all about how they feel, right? Like, do they feel wanted? Do they feel loved by that employer? And are they attractive enough to go and join them? However, 8 days is still pretty quick. Like,
it's pretty quick.
Yeah, that's pretty quick.
It is quick, Jeremy. I guess the question would be: is 8 days from when they were engaged, but how long did it take to engage the candidate? Right. So when did they express interest initially? Versus
it was a headhunt.
It was a headhunt. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. That's right. That's what you said was one of your candidates. Amazing. When we talked about it in Clubhouse, that was one of the things that I brought up. The biggest competitor was speed, not another business. It was speed, because everyone's moving so quickly and reducing the layers to be able to have quick conversations, make decisions, and move forward, because they recognize how quickly the talent is moving through there. With that, multiple options as well, right? Because he said he had another employer moving more quickly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Two other ones, and it's in not a really big market. But the question that you brought up, Aidan, about how do we manage the skill situation, how there's a lack of skills. Christine kind of touched on it earlier. That was looking outside the industry. that could help, because your umbrella opens up, right? So in finance, I could be wrong, Aidan, correct me, but it seems like your niche is more flexible with industry, and in hospitality, it's like, no, have to have 5, 7, 10 years experience in a full service property on the beach.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. So,
really?
Like,
okay.
Yeah. Like, I guess probably not as much as hospitality. Like, there are definitely offers that I get where they're like cross industry, or generally they're cross industry. So it's not really an industry thing for me. It's more, they have to be qualified with 3 years experience, and they can come from any industry that they're working in. That's not an issue, but they have to tick those boxes, or they have to be ACA qualified rather than ACCA qualified or CMA. So that won't mean anything for you guys, but for anyone watching back that's in finance, they'll fully get this. There's like this war of what is the best qualification in finance, and there are 3 levels that ultimately sit at the top, and I won't give my opinion because I recruit all 3 of them, but they will all argue that theirs is the best, and you'll find a hiring manager will probably only recruit, not only, but they'll definitely be biased towards whatever qualification they have, even though the person might have the perfect experience, but they're just not qualified in a certain qualification.
And I'll take that back again to educating, training the hiring managers. They have these preconceived connotations and expectations. You need to hire from the Big Four. They need to have public accounting experience, whatever it might be. That's what they think they need until they're presented with evidence. So I think, from a talent acquisition, human resources perspective, we need to focus more time on educating our managers and those making these hiring decisions on what's really going to impact the business. I don't think some businesses recognize how many pain points are derived from that relationship or lack of relationship between human resources, talent acquisition, and those hiring managers. So educating them on where that is. I mean, Google has done surveys where they're no longer focusing on pedigree as much as they used to. Obviously, it's still important to them, but it's not the end all be all where they have to be from an Ivy League school to be able to come in and work on the engineering team. They recognize people coming from different schools and backgrounds are actually more inclusive and better for their teams to begin with.
100%, fully agree. And from a recruitment perspective, the big issue with that a lot of the time is our contingent model, where a lot of recruiters will take on a job and just say, yes, I want to work it, and then disappear and then not find people, and find that actually the line manager isn't satisfied with the search they're doing. Whereas actually, if you just take a step back, you work on retained or exclusive, and you consult and you work out those pain points and you give your advice, then of course you're going to be in a better position. But a few or majority good recruiters aren't going to be able to change that whole skills shortage across the UK because, well, there are just too many also direct employers looking at advertise themselves, right? And agencies that won't maybe challenge where they need to. So that's one of the big things about addressing the skills shortage. As Duarte said, it's educating hiring managers, it's educating employers, and it's challenging the fact that they're being too picky, and they need to stop ultimately because there's so much good talent out there.
And Josh made a great comment about just training. I think you have to have a dedicated approach and mentality to recognizing that education isn't a one-time thing. It's not just onboarding. You have to have a more dedicated process of what you're doing on that training throughout the year. So that's reskilling and upskilling those individuals into there. Too many people just try to cram everything during an orientation, and there needs to be, again, more dedicated approach to doing that training, that education.
Now you're speaking Christine's language.
Yeah,
that's Christine's language.
Yes, it is. And here's another thing I want to. This is more high level positions, but I know a lot of the people that are listening right now are struggling with hiring our line level talent, okay, and trying to staff front desk and staff housemen and housekeeping. And this is why I gave Jeremy my picture. I put a post up earlier this week, I think it was. It was National Youth Day. And I showed a picture of when I was 17 and I started at the Hampton Inn. I was in the work program in high school. And so many of us and leaders that I talked to dismiss the youth demographic. And I don't want anybody in high school. You have to be at least this age, etc. But I want to share with you that you're missing a massive opportunity in the talent there. Not everybody in high school is ready to go on to that college life. A lot of people are just hungry and want to work and want to figure things out first. So if you're building relationships with those high school work programs and different organizations like that, you can find an amazing, look what I did. Look what I've become. And those are the people who are looking for the chance. They're looking for someone to take a chance on them. And they appreciate and value that. And they give so much loyalty that you've given them a chance. So I really encourage you to looking for skills and looking for talent to not dismiss any demographic. And here's the whole other side of the coin is our retired communities. Our retired people can save hospitality. They are vaccinated, they want to travel, and they have free time. Go into those retirement communities and, maybe it's part-time. Maybe they want to eat breakfast. Maybe they want to drive the shuttle van and just for some fun and interacting with people. And then they get hotel discounts and they spend some fun time doing something fun.
You are spot on. With
both,
that.
Yeah,
both sides.
I hadn't even thought about that as like an
I can attest to it because I have like family members, a couple that live in the Villages, Florida. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's like it's like the largest like senior living area. It's like basically a mini city. Like half the cars there are golf carts, Aidan. So like if you go to the Villages, you try to park, forget about it because there's all golf carts everywhere. Anyway, my family like
it's also kind of like spring break Panama City 1980s for retirement.
It is wild. Well. We opened a store there and they had guys coming in with like the beer can hats, like they're like partying. But they like Christine said, like some of them just want to have fun. They just want to make a couple bucks, keep busy, and they'll like do server positions, cook, front desk, cash. They love it. They just want to be busy. Yeah.
Almost every select service hotel I've worked at that had free breakfast almost always was one of our retired senior citizens, and they loved it. And I just want to hit on Kyle's comment. I really appreciate it, Kyle. The issue with younger associates is requests for time off, the scale, and lateness. However, once in the floor, they are wonderful and enjoyable to work with. Yes, and the same thing. Sometimes we'll say this demographic of people is this. It's unfair to judge a whole demographic of people because I'm going to tell you what, I've never called off of work one day in my entire career. There's been days where I've been sick and I've gotten someone to cover for me. I've switched shifts, but I have never called off in my life. And I started working at 13 years old. And I know I'm a Gen Xer, okay? And we're different.
We're like the forgotten generation, Christine. Nobody even knows what the heck that is.
I know.
Gen
But I'm
X.
going to tell you what. I opened a water park resort called Key Cove Water Resort. It was one of my most amazing experiences I've ever had. And everybody I hired, it was their first job. They were running the funtivities in the arcade, and they were all 16 years old, and they are some of the most amazing human beings. And everybody at that time was like hitting on the millennials. And I'm telling you what, my millennials were amazing.
It's not fair to marginalize a demographic in recruiting. It's also not just fair. It's lazy recruiting. It's lazy recruiting. If you look at my team, I have 4 recruiters scaling from early 20s to mid 70s. Completely opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Because guess what? They all bring their own skills and talent to the table.
That's the best thing about a varied demographic within a team, right? Is that actually no one knows everything, but somebody knows something, right? Everyone knows something. So like they'll absolutely all bounce off each other, and you need to create that.
So that goes back as well then to workforce planning, right? Because the other thing that I think the industry also sometimes struggle with is they need someone full-time, or they can't work Friday, so I can't hire them. It's one of the busiest days, right? The industry is heavy on the weekends. And so when you're looking for that work-life balance, when they want to be with their family, is having that flexibility. And I think that's why there's platforms like Winolo that's jumping off, because they have the on-demand scheduling, and businesses are relying on that to be able to supplement. So again, that workforce planning and understanding where those matrix are and where those ebbs and flows are and what you need to be able to schedule, and providing more flexibility, you actually have greater retention in the industry, with recognizing that we may need to take a look at our staffing schedules and how we're managing the people and then the headcount.
Absolutely. And what's this one? We use partner with nearby special needs school. Exactly. So many of our local government and community associations that we can be tapping into for talent that we've never thought about. I'm going to tell my sister-in-law is high functioning, has a high functioning autism on that spectrum. And let me tell you what. She would do laundry all day long. She loves to do laundry. And I'm just like, Kendall, you should get a job in the laundry room at one of our local hotels. So you just never know the skill set you might be passing up because you're putting people in a box. So think about that. The other thing I want to say is drilling back to my key limers at Key Cove Water Resort, all those young people. There isn't a day that goes by, this was 12 years ago now, that I don't hear from one of them saying, I've got a great starfish story for you, or I've got a great this. And I believe the number one reason why they were such great associates and have gone on to do so many great things is because of their onboarding and their training and the day-to-day culture that they lived in. And I think it's really 3 things. And Daniel Pink is the one who I really got this terminology from. But it's autonomy, getting them empowered. How do you empower your people to feel like they are a leader? 2, mastery. How are you building their skill set and training them every day? Josh put in the comments about how he does huddle. Everybody who knows me knows huddle's the most important thing you do every day. How are you not just orientating them on day one, but pulling that culture through every day? And the last one is purpose. Every hotel I've been at, I always share the starfish story and the purpose of what we do and how we don't just clean rooms, serve food, and check people in. We change the world every day. And when you can give someone a purpose, it changes everything.
So I have an article I showed you guys before. I'm going to bring it up, and boom, right? The Great Resignation is here, and it's real. Anybody who wants to read this is on Apple News. Just look it up. It's chock full of stats and metrics and data, but there's going back to what Christine says, and you guys want to check this out. Duarte, there's a few bullet points you wanted me to point out in this one. Do you want to?
Yeah, workers want transparency. They want to be trusted, and I think those two things, they go both ways. They're mutually exclusive to what managers want and what the associates want, and highlighting that they want to be treated like adults. I think that's one of the greatest benefits. So getting away from those crazy perks, the best one is to manage your people like they're human beings, and not that like they're an asset. That they're not something that you can just order off the shelf. I think that the past 18 months has shown that how difficult it is to recruit and identify great individuals. And so when you have that great talent, that great person, we have to flex.
Look after them.
Yes.
Absolutely. There are so many examples of this. Like,
that article said 41% of the people surveyed, 41% are thinking of quitting.
Mate, I was saying this last year. I remember
41.
one of the big, like, I did a huge thing on LinkedIn, right? I put a post out on LinkedIn saying, if you don't flex, if you don't start thinking about holding on to your top performers, your best staff, and looking after them, rewarding, recognizing them, they are going to quit. They will leave. And it must have been like my largest viewed post of last year, and had so many comments, so many likes, and it was. I mean, I just knew I knew that we were going to go through this period of people resigning if you didn't flex, and we're going through it now.
Jeremy, I think that number's low.
I know,
think that
right?
number's
I'm
in the
like 41. That's not the
70s. I think that number's in the 70s,
bad.
70s. Yeah, you know, they call it the Great Resignation. This is the great redistribution of workforces, right? Because there's never been a more candidate-centric market for people to be able to test it, and more businesses are doing that passive candidate outreach, right? So, Jeremy, you might not be looking, but someone reaches out to you, and you're like, I'm going to listen, and then the offer comes to you, like, this is too good to ignore.
Do you know what half my calls are, Duarte? I'll give you a little trick. Any recruiter out here, here's a trick for you. I was going to give it away. So, like, half the calls are going to be like active searches. But I'd say, I'm not joking, half my calls is when I'm getting intel in the market and I know that a position is going to start popping off. Like, I have a feel for, hey, there's going to be a huge need for group sales managers soon because of X, Y, and Z. Guess what I'm doing? I'm calling people that are in my network, and I'm also calling people who are not even connected with me. That I'm building that relationship. So when those searches do pop off, they already know who I am, and they're going to entertain a call with me.
Nurturing that candidate pipeline.
What's that?
Nurturing that candidate pipeline.
And it's like, I'm not even like, it's not even like, hey, I have a search. Your resume looks like a great fit. No, I'm just talking to you. I want to hear what it's going to take to make you move. What are you looking to do in your career? Tell me what your goals are. Like, I want to hear about you. And most people, they love talking about themselves, so they'll tell me. And then I just remember it and I build the network. And that's the key. That's one of the most important things. But most recruiters are lazy and they won't do it. They just don't.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find my post because I agree, Duarte, that number is low. I remember saying, like, I think I was saying like 65% or 70% of people are going to quit their job if things don't change. And it created a bit of some people are like, oh, that sounds really high, but it's not now. You look at the amount of people that are passive in the market. I say to every client that I speak to, and they agree when I say it.
Oh, guys, Aidan, you're right. The number says right here, it jumps to 54% when Gen Z is considered alone. So it does shift depending on like the demographic.
For what was that?
For
looking to leave.
Yeah, looking to leave.
Okay. I want to, if I can jump in, Josh just put a question up that I really would love to talk about. Why do you think there's such a volatility between the consumer and the associate in our current climate? And we all know that we have never seen a customer profile that's happening right now in our lives. It's the most challenging we've ever seen. Here's what I want to say. Yes, that is true. And there's a lot of reasons going on in the world right now why it's so volatile. But here's one thing I want to say. The only person in the world we can change is who?
Yourself.
Ourselves. So what I want to say is we are also, as a workforce, not the same as we used to be. We're all trying to figure it out too. We're all dealing with crazy things in our life too. So we are definitely not the service provider we used to be. Which sometimes we need to look in the mirror and go, why am I getting all these responses from my customers like this? And maybe it's because of what we're projecting out as well. Like when someone walks in and the first thing they hear is, "You got to wear a mask. Where's your mask?" And then all of a sudden you got an upset customer or somebody who's like going after you because we're not saying, "Welcome to the courtyard. We're so excited to have you." We really need to look inward first and go, what can I do to change the situation? It's not going to be a fix-all, but the only person we can change is ourselves. So let's look in the mirror and go, how am I showing up every day? Am I stressed? Am I worried? Do I want them to feel empathy for me when really right now my job is to feel empathy for them? So I just want to put that out there. Thoughts on that?
100% agreed. It's about attitude, right? I think what you put out is what you also receive back. It's something that they teach. If someone's yelling at you, you don't yell back. You're going to continue yelling. You lower your voice, you remain calm, and the other person innately is going to actually lower their voice and start coming to your level. And if they don't, obviously maybe they need to be on some other meds. But usually they come down, and there's ways to be able to deal with that. So even prefacing some of that, setting up that automation and expectation, like, hey, the local the local requirements have recently changed. You have to wear a mask, right? Because that's also changing back and forth, and you don't know, there's no consistent message. Where I am today, last week I didn't have to wear a mask. Now tomorrow I have to wear a mask. So local mandates change so frequently. It's prefacing some of that, and again, taking that approach like, hey, welcome. Just so you know, the mandate just recently changed. If you have a mask, please need to don one. If you don't, we have one for you, right? Again, just that approach is so vitally important.
And with yes is the answer. This is some of the things that I've been teaching my associates is that the anxiety of that confrontation makes us do bad things. Makes us just fight or flight, and you have to wear a mask, or you just go right out at it. So rather get back to our hospitality. Hi, welcome to the courtyard. We're excited to provide you a safe stay, which includes mask usage. We have a complimentary one here. Again, we need to get back to our hospitality, and I think that will help that guest profile. I'm glad, Josh, that you agree. And then Kyle, I love the interaction. Thank you, guys. He said, because we aren't offering what you once did and we're becoming defensive. Exactly. If we are proactive and we're helping train and teach our leaders every day in our huddles, we can own and take back our day. Let me give you an example. Let's just say your fitness center is closed now because of COVID. And that's the 3 words guests never want to hear again, because of COVID. Okay? Yeah, so eliminate that from your vocabulary. Now, let's just say that's the case. Rather than saying, no, I'm sorry, unfortunately, the fitness center is closed because of COVID. This pisses people off. Okay? They don't want to hear that. So instead, say, thank you so much for letting me know how to get your fitness routine on the road. Here's what we're offering right now. Here is free passes to the local LA Fitness. Here is a walking path. Here is a mountain you can climb. Here, what can you do?
Solutions, right.
Jeremy, I posted this probably last year, February. This year, February. The world's moving way too quickly. And it was, about workplaces. That either doing one or two things. Either you're creating problems or you're solving problems. So what Christine just suggested, you're solving a problem. If you no longer have something, provide them an alternative solution. So you're providing them a solution, another path. Again, our gym is closed. Doesn't matter why it's closed. It's closed. Here's what your solution is. Move it forward. What does it matter if it's closed? The gym equipment broke. Well, why isn't it fixed? It's COVID. Water, piping. It doesn't matter. What's the solution?
Yes. And is your fitness center open? Really isn't the question. The question is, how am I going to get my workout in?
Yeah. How am I going to work out? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a good point. Mm-hmm. Gosh, so we're at 43 minutes. We normally do it for half an hour, but that never happens. But I actually have an off the cuff question for you guys. I really honestly want your opinion on this because it's something that's kind of not worrying me, but it's concerning me a little bit. And so obviously over here in the UK as well, you got the Delta variant all over the place. And there was I can't remember what survey it was, but it said 40% of the people that were looking to leave people that left the industry left because of safety of COVID, this, that, and the third, when it was the alpha. Okay. So then we rebound back January. We're back. We're busy. We're doing well. Now this thing happens again, right? Now, Florida, we're still blessed to be busy because Florida's crazy and we're still busy. But I'm wondering if that 40%, within that 40% that left when the alpha was, like prior to January, that 40% that left, I'm wondering if there's probably a lot of them that were considering coming back, right? Which would have helped our need for talent. And are you guys nervous that like there's going to be, when we recover again, this time there's people that are like, hell no, I'm gone. Peace out. You guys, this industry's
I
toast.
can't depend on it. I'm terrified about that.
Okay, so that's what I'm kind of thinking. I mean, I don't know if you guys are thinking about that as well.
I mean,
Maybe
already
even you
as
too,
an
Aidan.
independent contractor, I'm worried that everything I've just rebooked is going to cancel again. So I'm sure hospitality people are worried, hey, I'm probably going to lose my job again if this thing goes crazy.
Or people that were ready to come back, they're hanging tight. Like, maybe there's some front desk agents or even like conference sales, business travel, sales managers, HR that were like thinking, I miss it. I'm going to come back. And then they're like, oh God, no, not again.
Here we go again. Yes.
I don't know. I just wanted to see what you guys thought.
Well, I had a job turned down beginning of this week for an accountant in a hospitality company. And they didn't even accept another role. They decided to stay where they were without a counter. They were just like, I'm going to hold off. This isn't quite right for me. What if COVID comes back and basically I lose my job? And that's how they felt. So I argued it to a certain degree, not argued it, but you know how it is as a recruiter. You try to convince them, but that's how she felt, and therefore, she didn't take the job. So I'm feeling it too, even outside of hospitality, like for accountant roles.
New York, Kyle says New York is getting killed. Yeah, so
I think it's a small.
Go ahead, Duarte.
I believe that's a small reality. I would probably say that's probably third on the rung, in particular for hospitality industry. But I think in general, people might be apprehensive to make a move because they're afraid things getting shut down, and the employer they know is better. They have that longevity, right? So they'll hopefully be able to be returned. If they're the new person to the organization, there might be risk there. But I think it will still come to work-life balance, hours worked, and then a livable wage. We hadn't really talked about and addressing the wage factor here and being able to provide a higher wage for some of these positions. So I think when you couple all those things with COVID, it's just a perfect storm, and that's keeping people on the sidelines from rejoining an industry that they enjoy and love and have a passion for.
I can tell you, Duarte, that candidates have a lot more power than they think, depending on where they are, what niche. For instance, I've been recruiting for over 20 years in the hospitality restaurant space, and I can tell you right now, I know for a fact what sous chefs and chefs were making before COVID, right? And right now, I think probably 60% of my searches are chef searches, maybe even more, if that crazy. And they are asking for and getting 10K more than their 19 level because there's such a need for chefs right now, right?
Wow.
So they had, I don't know, I made this joke many times with like clients. I'm like, I don't know what chefs stood on a mountaintop and screamed to all the chefs out there to demand 10K more, but it's happening. And if you think that you're going to get a sous chef at your restaurant for 55K, you're not going to get them. They're asking for 65. They're not going to move. Trust me. And I'm willing to say that and walk away from the search because I know it's not placeable at that. I'm not going to spin my tires. You can't place them. And restaurants are starting to pay them because they have to. So
can I add one more point real quick, Christine?
Yeah.
One thing that we didn't talk about is the numbers that came out this month. There was 2 million more people that retired than what was expected.
Oh God, it's like the dominoes, man. Like
when you have an economy, right? The 401ks and the stocks continued all-time high. People are able to retire and maybe sell that home and move and go somewhere else. You have that added to there. I think we're going to continue to see, hospitality. You want to talk about electricians? You have close to 40 to 60% of all union electricities eligible to retire in the next 5 to 7 years, right? Wow. So when you talk about other industries, it is going to continue to extrapolate, and that war for being able to identify people for your industry is going to continue. So the approach is, someone had mentioned, I think, going into the high schools, start building those relationships, start doing it earlier on. As you mentioned, Christine, instead of having people that are going that 4-year track, I think we over-indexed in that. And we realize now in some of these blue collar roles, we're never going to have or be able to supplement that pipeline of people because we've been so focused on getting a 4-year degree.
Exactly. Going into the trade, I 100% am picking up what you're dropping. Absolutely. All right, but before we close out, I have a free source for everybody, so I want to make sure we don't miss that, and I want to make sure I provide some additional value for everyone. And what I'm going to kind of go back to the culture of what we were talking about. Retaining people for the culture and having them love their job and having a great environment. And one of the things that I do on onboarding is I have every associate fill out a who am I? And it's just like, what's my favorite beverage, my favorite snack, who's my hero, what's my favorite book, all these different questions. And I just recently, to be more inclusive, added what is the nickname I like to go by, the name I like to go by, and what are my pronouns. So I've added those to the who am I as well. And I do so many fun things with the Who Am I. First of all, on their anniversary, I always make them a Who Am I basket with all their favorites. If they've done a really great job, I might want to recognize them with something. So now I know what they really like. I know sometimes if you give me a Starbucks gift certificate, that's super nice, but I've never had a cup of coffee in my life.
Christine, is this for property level? Like as a general manager?
Anybody could do this because you're
brilliant. Who wouldn't like that?
Yeah, if you're running a team, it doesn't matter if you're executive level, if you're property level, and for me as the operational leader, general manager, every team I managed, I had all of my associates fill out the who am I.
Because it's personalized.
Yes, and then you know more about them. Let me give you one example here. I even had an associate that was really going through something, and not personally, but like professionally, and trying to figure out her leadership style and whatnot. And I remember on her who am I, who her hero was, her dad, and he had passed on. I said, I know your dad is your hero. What would your dad do? What would your dad say to you? You know, it's like those moments you can have because you really get to know somebody. I literally have goosebumps thinking about that right now. And then here's one other really fun thing that I would do with the Who Am I. Every year during Associate Appreciation Week, and this is one of the things they loved the most, and it was so simple. I would put up 3 descriptions on someone's who am I. They like Pepsi, they like this, or whatever that might be. And everybody had to guess who it was. How well do you know each other? My associates loved doing that. So there's just so many things I would use this for. And if you do it at a new hire and you have that right away, you always have to, you don't have to say, oh, what is that person like? You've got it. So what I have for you is a link. I think Jeremy, you can put the link in the comments.
I will.
That's
and I put it right here in case they want to jot it down.
Click on it, and you can get that who am I, and you can redo it. You could use that one, whatever you'd like. But it really helps to build that culture and know your people.
That's awesome.
Like that.
We need it because every 5 seconds we're giving another domino, like Duarte's little nugget that he gave, and like the Delta nugget, and then like the resignation one. It's like, oh my God, like this is not going to stop. And we are trying to do what we can to think of solutions and provide solutions. That's why we gather here. So I want to say thank you for everybody who contributed and chimed in. I guess I'll say my outro right now. As you can see here, it's Jeremy Nichols, Gecko Hospitality. You can find me on YouTube as well. Just search my name right here. Boom, Jeremy Nichols. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And I do hospitality recruiting for the state of Florida.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Aidan.
Christine. Oh, Aidan.
Aidan. So you can find me on LinkedIn. Just type in my name, Aidan Murray. I do finance recruitment in the UK, qualified to part qualified level. So if you need any support, give me a shout, and feel free to drop me any questions in my message. I'm free to chat to anyone that has any
Can you even
thoughts.
take it right now, Aidan?
Sorry?
Can you take any more leads right now? I heard you're like crazy busy.
Yeah, I'm stacked, to be honest. It's good. It's good.
That's awesome.
No, yeah, I'm really happy with how busy I am. So hopefully we'll be adding to the headcount soon. So that's the plan. So fingers crossed.
Oh, it's a little bit of scaling going on.
I hope so. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm planning it out now. So
Perfect.
Keep working with us because we can take more business.
Send them your way.
Yeah.
Duarte, I know you can't share where you're going yet, but you'll be letting us know soon, right?
Yeah, hopefully by the end of next week, be knowing where I'm going to be landing next. But obviously, if you're looking for an opportunity in the hospitality industry, Blue Green Vacations is a premier place to look. Sam Williamson, the recruitment manager there, is fabulous, as well as Lauren Martinfeld. She deals with all the exempt management level at the resort level. Great organization to be part of. Amazing talent development team with Yogi and what he's done with there. They have a fantastic lead program. They just wrapped that up. There was 5 lead interns that we had there. Recruited those 5 interns, fabulous individuals. So great programs and opportunities at Blue Green Vacations if you're looking to continue your path in hospitality.
Awesome. Well, I'm Christine Trippi, The Wise Pineapple. You can check out the website. It is The Wise Pineapple. The book is Yes is the Answer. If you love some of those yes solutions, you're going to love the book. And I also just did a recent podcast YouTube series. It was 1 month long to pump our industry up. So if you missed that and you really love what I'm selling, you really would love enjoying that on your commute to work or whatnot. We had great conversations all month long with juicy tidbits to help you run your businesses. I love the conversation. Thanks for being here, and thank you for adding your comments and working with us. We love your participation. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And till the next Final Friday. I'll see you guys later. Thanks.
See you next month.
Bye.
Bye, guys.